Boomers. I'm Ward,
I'm Ice Cream Soda.
and today we're just going to do a brief update of around Easter, and we've got some stuff planned upcoming. When your book review we've talked about, we're going to do that though when things kind of
Well, there's some
settle down.
technical
Yeah,
difficulties
it's not
that
quite so
have to be worked out.
so choppy. And while we were talking, Soda had a great idea. We could, maybe we should update everybody not on our Easter vacation, but hey, Joe was on Easter vacation, wasn't he? Didn't he go and fumble around
right after.
right after go fumble?
Well, first he fumbled around with an Easter bunny again on the
I don't know if he.
ellipse, is it?
I don't know.
Well, I think he had to be dragged off again, but this time it was by his wife.
Or okay, and then he decided he was tuckered out from that, so he went
I
to
don't know.
Ireland for several days,
Well,
and
he's
he
gone
brought Hunter
almost a week.
and his sister with him, and now and now it becomes just even more obvious. Now they're flying over on Air Force One. I guess that makes it easier to conduct business when you get there. You come in on the official plane, and then Hunter kind of shadowed him while they were
Well,
talking. In fact, he had to help him answer a little kid's question when they were when they were in Ireland.
don't you think by taking his son, Hunter's sorry, by taking him, that's projects a validation of him and his importance.
Well, I mean, I guess so. Maybe he kept him with him.
Yeah.
Maybe he kept him with him because it's the only way he can keep him out of trouble. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's to validate the fact that
he's,
you can still do business with him still.
We're still open for influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, our Easter was actually kind of a special one this year.
Yes.
We ourselves, as it turned out, did not get to church Easter Sunday because one of our sons-in-law and his oldest daughter, our granddaughter, got baptized on Easter Sunday, and so the timing of where their church service was and when it was, and because of the ride we have to get to church and back, necessitated that we just stay home to make sure that we could watch it online. So we had the privilege of.
Well, we've been to their church, so we watched.
Yes, and we're familiar with
the service online.
Right, so we're familiar with the minister down there. And it was nice because our son-in-law was baptized, and then his daughter was going to be baptized after him, and the minister who knows them, asked them to said, "Come on over. You ought to be helping out here." So our son-in-law got to baptize our granddaughter. So that was pretty neat, and that was on Easter Sunday. And as it happens, that's the only thing I say. And that was special to us because it was many Easter Sundays ago that we got baptized.
Right.
So anyway, I mean, you can't think of a better day to do.
It's a great day to be baptized.
Great day to be baptized.
Can't always be worked out at a lot of churches, depending.
Yeah. So that was nice.
Made it special.
That was nice, and but beyond that, we it was a quiet, stay at home.
Watch a lot of services on
Easter for us. Watch a lot.
We watched our own service.
Oh yeah.
So.
Anyway, so it was nice. It was. So we had a quiet Easter dinner. It was actually, and I think all the other families were kind of off visiting people. So I think we may have done a little bit of select FaceTiming with folks to catch up with them.
Right.
And say hi, but it wasn't anything too overpowering, and it was good. And it was because we find that as we've gotten a bit more set in terms of appreciation for how that it's the most important not just the day of the year, like the most important day in human history, resurrection
Sunday.
day, and
empty
so we tend not to go get involved in anything that kind of has all the old Easter egg thing and Easter bunny.
Well,
Not that you
I have to ask
preclude little
myself, what
kids.
are people celebrating on Easter
Yeah.
if they're not churched? I mean, whatever you like, why would Easter be important to you if you're not church?
I mean, I mean, what do you think? What do you think is being celebrated?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, isn't it?
It's
Couldn't
a
you?
lot of candy
Couldn't
and
you
Easter
technically?
baskets
I
and
mean, couldn't you?
chocolate.
Couldn't you technically ask the same question about Christmas?
Christmas. Oh, sure.
What are people celebrating? Stuff that on that day. They're not. I mean, not
Well,
not
that's
the
the world
birth of
influence.
Christ.
That's the influence of environment.
I mean, and yet, I mean, I guess the shortcoming as far as the world is concerned with Easter is, it doesn't have gifts, so that's why they come up with chocolate and Easter eggs,
Bunny.
so they have something, I guess. But yeah, what are they? How ludicrous?
Why does it mean anything? You don't even go to church.
No, I mean, yeah, exactly. I don't
So-
know.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
But I do find myself.
If you were to ask somebody
And you're
who's,
right, Christmas, same thing. It's like,
you know,
they call them the CNE Christians because those are only 2 days some people show up
yeah, well, I suppose it's better than not showing up
at all. But
because you can get exposed to it. Maybe the seed will take root.
possibly,
Well, that's how you have to. I mean, that's how we have to treat it with folks, because otherwise we put ourselves in a position of making a judgment call that we're not fit to make.
well, that's why you've just got to be praying all the time for these people who don't know the Lord.
Well, I mean, he called you.
Yeah.
He leads you. So I mean, I don't know, but it's how empty it's got to be when the big deal of the day is I'm going to go look for jelly beans and then
An Easter egg hunt.
and what was it? Well, they couldn't they not even do that? What was it? It just occurred to me they didn't even do coloring Easter eggs. A lot of people, because the price of eggs had gone up so much. You know what they were coloring? You know what they were doing? Potatoes. Now, maybe what they did is they peeled them so you had a white background. Potatoes. I saw a piece where people were doing stuff with potatoes. See, you learn something every day. So it's good to listen to the boomers. You pick up stuff that not everybody.
So that means now we're going to eliminate the Easter eggs.
Well, Easter spuds.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why Joe went to Ireland. The potato famine or something. I don't know. And but Easter potatoes.
What was his purpose for going there?
I think he was just taking a vacation. He tried to pitch because I think he's Irish. His mother was Irish descent. They go back to the old country. So I think he was just kind of running for cover, going to a place where he thought, well, these people seem like they're pretty friendly, and maybe they'll like me.
Because they all think they're going to give him millions and billions of dollars.
So anyway, he just.
Oh, he's going to show up. That means we're going to get all kinds of money.
Oh, well, I mean, anytime, I think anytime a president of the United States shows up in Ireland, that's a big deal to them. I mean, think of the country, think of the people.
Well, the regular people.
Yeah, the regular people will go, wow, and that's what that's after. That's just a PR deal. Look at this. These people love
Well,
it.
it didn't seem like he got huge crowds of people.
I don't know. You'd be hard pressed to get a huge crowd anywhere, then I suppose. But I don't know what the premise was. At least the public thing.
Well, and then we know that he didn't go home to the White House.
No, he went to his summer home.
So he's still vacationing.
Yeah. Well, like we said, we're of the mind that Joe goes to these other places so that they can shoot him up with whatever it is that keeps him functional, somewhat functional. Anyway, well, with all the stuff that's being revealed, One of the more telling things is, with all the committee oversights that's going on right now, one of the things that just came out is, the whistleblower. We got an article up on the stream. IRS whistleblower is saying that that the DOJ and the FBI is being mishandled. In fact, I think it went further than that. And said that there were specifically people, a couple people that were actively killing the investigation, wouldn't let certain things move ahead. Going after Hunter for the crimes he's committed. In fact, one of the things, and this article might have it in there, I think Hunter even paid quietly $1 million fine recently, hoping that would assuage the IRS, make it look like, oh no, he's trying to do the right thing. But what they're really trying to do is kill the investigation so that he doesn't have to answer for his crimes, that he's doing. So, but I'm getting the feeling that there's going to be a lot more trickling out because they've got the IRS whistleblower, you've got a couple folks from the DOJ, you've got this deal now. The thing in New York, where Bragg has gone after Trump, and now the subpoena from that committee is going to be able to, they're going to be able to depose the chief prosecutor that used to be in that office who hates Trump. But that guy wrote a book. And as a result, the judge said, hey, you opened up Pandora's box. So now they can ask you questions about all this stuff because you're the guy who inserted yourself into the middle of this. So there's a lot of stuff now that's coming out. But this whole investigation of Hunter has been mishandled. And they're doing it deliberately. So the so the IRS or the whistleblower's attorney is raising a ruckus and asking them to explain themselves because of the way it's been handled. And I mean, I'm not one for the so many of the congressional oversight things because look at one of the things that was mentioned, granted it wasn't a congressional oversight, but the FBI saying that they were handling like the Jeffrey Epstein case, right? Well, we know he didn't commit suicide. That. And it's been 4 years. And I think
Isn't that long?
it's been 4 years. And in fact, I think one of the things that Tucker Carlson had as a research people calling various agencies and saying, hey, have you got anything on this? What's the update? And the FBI apparently, I don't know if they even answered, but somebody said, "Well, we're going to publish a report, sometime in the near future." That's literally the answer. They're not doing anything.
No.
They killed him. They allowed him to be killed, and that problem's solved. And so they have no intention of answering anything on at all. So I don't know. I just I with every passing week. And with every new document leak like this, the one up in Massachusetts, that Air National Guard guy who
Oh yeah.
released the stuff on the war in the Ukraine.
Now, Grant, he probably didn't make the wisest of decisions.
Right.
However, and I agree with people who've said, okay, so get past that. Why aren't you upset about what those documents said? That your country is lying to you.
Exactly. I mean, you're right. The kid should have been allowed access. He shouldn't have done it. But the fact remains, the documents are okay,
real.
And they're true. And
They're real.
So why aren't you upset about that?
Yeah. Why are people not more raged that we're being lied to about that war?
Well, we're being lied to about
everything.
But, but you're right.
But this is something that was in black and white.
Right.
Because those papers were real.
Well, there was even something. I don't know if this was related to those papers or if it was something else that was just mentioned within the past several days, where the United States is warning Russia that they need to stay away from or not tamper with nuclear materials in the Ukraine. And you say, wait a minute, what are you talking
What
about?
does that mean?
Nuclear, what does that mean?
Yeah.
We got nuclear stuff or efforts or weapons or something related to nuclear things in Ukraine, and we're telling Russia when if you find those, don't touch it because that'll be a problem. I mean, there is just so much. I mean, remember the biolab thing about Ukraine? Remember when that came out, and that's all been swept
Swept
away.
under the, oh,
When
yeah.
the lady said in front of the congressional committee that they had biolabs
That's
in the Ukraine.
US,
Just swept
the
away.
US stuff, yeah.
Well, I mean, why do you think Zelensky's getting all this money? Because he's a very persuasive sales guy? Or if he says, hey, Joe, if you don't continue to give me all this money, I'm gonna let people know exactly what's been going on here.
True.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it's brutal. Just brutal.
In all of this, the innocent people become the victims.
Yes. Yes.
They're the ones that'll be the consequences of these people's sins, because that's what they are.
Oh,
sin.
yeah.
Their sin.
Oh, this is, look at this. Christians in the Holy Land. We've got this is from NBC. That's an interesting article. It says the Christians in the Holy Land have become a target of Israel's rising far right, presuming that those are the ultra conservatives in Israel, and it's like, obviously Christians are not would not be their favorite people. These are would be the strictest of the Jews. Anyway, so now they're going after Christians. I have to tell you, I mean, I know people talk about it, but the Christian persecution thing is now, well, it's the only religion worldwide that no matter what you are, it's in vogue to attack them.
This exploded?
I know this was a launch they did today. There was another one. I don't know if it was today's or yesterday's. I watched a successful launch yesterday on SpaceX. We're talking about, but the Starship. For those of you who don't know, that the Musk's SpaceX launched what was the most powerful rocket in the history of the world, and that's what SpaceX was. And you talk about being able to spin something. It launched it, and when it exploded, all right, it was like 4 minutes in. It went up, and the first stage was supposed to separate, like the other one that I had watched, and it started to tumble a bit, and it didn't separate, and ultimately exploded. And the official commentary while the video is going on, as well as the published reports, referred to it as an unexpected or a dramatic disassembly, or something like that. Like it was an unplanned taking apart of the rocket. Yeah, it blew up. It blew up. But apparently, I guess there was, and then they were kind of doing a narrative that they constructed retroactively with people saying, hey, once it cleared the tower, it was a successful mission because we weren't even sure something of that magnitude could get off the ground. And with the power that it had, we expected if something catastrophic was going to happen, it was going to happen right away. Because there had been some setbacks with some of the refueling of the cells and so forth. But but in any event, it went up. It went quite a ways, and then it blew up, or suffered an unplanned disassembly. It was very strange.
So it wouldn't separate from each other.
No, it wouldn't. They talked about on most of theirs, they have a main engine shut down, then the first stage separates, and that's the one that usually comes back down to Earth and lands someplace. And it never separated, and it started to tumble, and then it exploded.
Huh.
So anyway, but you know what? I still, I still applaud him. He's still able to, like you asked that question last night. How does he do this? He does it less expensively than the government. And the video that I watched yesterday stated that space vehicle that rocket had been used 9 times. So I mean, so they don't blow up something every time
Not like
they
in the
use it
old
like,
days.
like the
Where
government.
useless after
Well, well,
after it was launched. or whatever.
I mean, the government still does it that way. My guess is they have to now contract. Uh, there's a story up here. I'm not sure I'm familiar with this one.
No,
A Republican. Oh, I think that's probably Murkowski. Yeah, she's saying she got duped. Uh, in terms of agreeing to a Trump appointed judge, and she's saying that this some judge in Texas that she voted to confirm at the time was responsible for the ruling that suspended the FDA's approval of the abortion pill. Remember?
Oh, so that makes
That
makes him a bad person.
Yeah, because she
Yeah.
says she got duped, and never would have voted that lady is just a lady who wants it both ways. There's only one thing worse than a person who won't take an opinion, and that's a person who takes every position and has zero scruples about telling anybody at all on either side what they want to hear, and that's what Murkowski is.
Well, yeah, but the reason this is getting any attention is to undermine the judge that made the decision.
Oh, sure.
That's all it is. It's to attack
Absolutely.
him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, that's the
Or
only
what she thinks.
that's the tech that's
I don't
that's
care
the
if she was
tactic.
duped or not duped.
Right.
Doesn't make any difference.
I
He made a
would say,
decision
you know what I would say? I would say
Agreed.
congratulations. Somebody finally beat them at their own game.
Yeah, I guess so.
I know I shouldn't feel that way,
Mhm.
but man, and everyone automatically says, "Oh, they didn't disclose it during the process. They changed something on an article." It's just gosh. And then I mean, there's certain papers that I just don't even. I will look at them occasionally just to see what the other side is thinking, articles or headlines from the Washington Post or people like that. But I don't put any credence in it, other than it gives you a feel for how the liberal left is thinking, or at least what they're trying to sell.
Well, yeah, but I still don't understand what they're thinking. Even if I listen to what they're supposedly, their thinking is off the mark on a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, well, they're very seldom able to give you rational reason
Right.
for it. I mean, it's usually about It's usually about one's feelings. I feel, or better yet, I think the ever popular, we're doing it for the children. I mean, that's it's getting a little hard to sell that with all the pedophilia and all the transgender garbage and all the stuff they're trying to indoctrinate young kids to with the education courses, like the stuff that they were able to stop in
Well,
Florida.
they're just dumbing kids down.
Well, no, not dumbing them down. I'm talking about the grooming aspect of them,
Oh,
teaching
no,
them
I know
about.
the grooming
Yeah.
thing, but by the same token, they're spending time in school teaching them this stupid stuff. So what are they missing?
I think I told you the other.
What are the
day.
classes
I'll
they're
share
not
this with
teaching
everybody. One of my friends locally, not a close friend, but an acquaintance, but a guy that I will go out with and play golf together. And he has, and this guy this guy's a really bright engineer. He is, in fact, a rocket scientist. And he was talking to one of his sons who lives in Illinois. And I think he's, not too far outside of Chicago. And he was having a conversation, with his son around education. And he mentioned, and he feels very strongly about about this whole CRT thing. Particularly the stuff that's the way revisionist history and the way they're teaching kids to hate the country or making identity politics, the whole thing. And his son is a pretty high powered professional in his industry. And when he was talking to him, he alluded to that, and his son came unglued, said that's not true, and my bud's saying, hey, 26 states 26 states
Go
have
look it
approved
up.
this as the official curriculum. And that's not true. And so he said, all right, he says, give me 30 seconds. And he pulled out the article and he sent it to him. And he has yet to hear anything back
Right.
from his kid. But the thing that is so staggering is that the bright younger people, they're bright, but they're not well informed, or not completely informed, because he didn't even realize this stuff was going on. He doesn't like it,
But now,
but he was completely unaware they were doing it in his school system, and that it's being done in the majority of states.
yeah, but here's the thing. We've already had this discussion. Bright people doesn't mean you're bright in everything. It only means you're bright in the subject you
Well,
made your life's
work.
after.
Well, we're back to what was it?
That
We're
doesn't-
back to Thomas Sowell.
That does not make you smart about everything in the world.
We're back to Thomas.
Somehow
Thomas
they seem to
Sowell's
think it does.
Sowell's philosophy of the people who are, they have their PhD in something, and they suddenly feel that makes them a doctor of every subject. To me,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That their word is the final authority. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, it's not.
not happen. That's exactly right. Yeah, I saw this. This was an interesting thing, and pretty somewhat surprising when you think about what we're usually hearing, particularly coming from the House Republicans passed a transgender sports ban for schools, and
Hallelujah.
yeah, I mean, and you could just hear, well, the funny thing is, I mean, if you listen to people like formerly Bruce Jenner,
What age group though? How
Oh,
old?
I think this
Is
is.
this
I think this
through
is schools.
college?
No, this should be probably
High
high
school.
school. Yeah,
How they-
when it says schools, I'm sure that's what it's referring to.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, and the thing is, and you wonder, where are the feminists, the women who wanted, rightfully so, to always protect women's sports and make sure that it was treated fairly and equally, all of which is good. And yet, a lot of them, you don't hear a whisper. Like they attack, like when the swimmer Riley Gaines outspoken
Was
there
attacked.
last week, she was attacked. You don't hear a whisper from a lot of those so-called feminists.
Where were the people in the audience who went to hear her talk?
Oh yeah.
What happened to you?
Oh no, exactly.
You got to figure it was mostly women.
Everybody is so intimidated, And I mean, as soon
Okay,
as
who
you
was the guy that the story that we watched about the pizza delivery guy who tripped the perpetrator?
the guy who stole the car. I
I thought that was fabulous. You talk about not getting involved, and the guy just steps over where he catches the guy, the thief
well, the
running
police-
from the.
Well,
Running
he
from-
the police
Just
car
tripped
skid up to
them.
the front of the house. Yeah, he was a big dude.
I don't care. It
Oh,
doesn't
I don't
matter.
understand the guy. Yeah, he's like 6'5"
Yeah, but he
or
still
6'6",
stepped
but he's
in and
stuck-
did it.
yeah.
He didn't have to because everybody just stands around and
Right.
watches these days, or
I-
pulls out their phone
Did you hear the end of
and
it?
takes a video.
Did you hear the
Big
end of it?
deal. You didn't have the person.
Did you hear the end of it?
No.
Because he was interviewed,
Yeah.
and he hurt himself when he did it. And they said, what? He said, well, I was just trying to clip him with my foot, drop him with my foot. He said, I ended up hitting him right in the middle of my shin
Oh.
with the other. He says, so I got a nasty bone bruise.
Yeah, but still.
It was pretty funny. He was
price.
laughing. He was laughing. It was pretty funny.
But
But-
it's just nice to see somebody actually do something instead of pull their phone out and take a video, like they're actually helping the person.
Well, I mean, that's
The
the
victim.
thing.
And there was not a victim at this particular thing, but
No, just
The two-
whoever owned
the
the car.
two kids that were interviewed after the beatings in Chicago, the peaceful
Oh, the couple.
yeah, that were
Oh, that was a biracial couple.
Yeah, but then,
Yeah, yeah,
but,
yeah.
but you know,
She was white, he was black, and they were attacked by those teens
right?
in
And the
downtown
black,
Chicago.
and then it was a black woman that went in to help them.
Yeah, she couldn't believe what she was seeing.
Seeing,
This
and she
group of
was
teenagers
outraged. You got to
beating
give
them.
her a lot of credit.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
guts.
Absolutely, it did. Because when they get in that mentality,
They're
there's
going
no
to beat up
telling
anybody that
what
wants to
could happen.
stop
Well,
them.
and you don't know who has a gun.
Well, that's true
I
too.
mean, look at what happened in I think it was down in that town, that Sweet 16 party down in Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you know, and suddenly there's an altercation. These are all teenagers again, same age.
Well, these
And
are all
then-
kids that are used to playing video games where they
Oh,
shoot them
no.
up and smash them up and whatever,
I
and
have
they
no
just drag that into real
I
life.
have no, I mean, for whatever reason.
No consequences on a video game,
Well,
but
you know,
there are in real life when you do something.
well, you know, I think it's more than that. I mean, because at the end of the day, you got somebody who's got a real gun with them, or got access to one, or went and got one, and comes back and starts shooting up a party. You know, I think it was people that were told that they couldn't come to it. Okay, I mean, and it's a lot. I mean, and it's kids, and the thing that's troubling or surprising to me is it's just as many young females as it is males. They display every bit as much violent tendencies as some of the guys do.
I can see where that doesn't really. I think that's you've got just as many, females without fathers or without a
Well, I mean,
together.
if they happen to, yeah, I mean,
So they're
we've talked about
victims.
this before.
Yes,
in
they're
terms of,
victims, but by
well,
the same token, they make other people their victims.
well, I mean, you're not a victim. I mean, it just is. If you don't, you know, if you have circumstances that you grow up with, okay, it might not be the best, but you still, you know, nothing ever supersedes your ability to make a choice, to know how to do right or wrong.
But that takes usually some leadership within the family.
Well, or somewhere. Well, that's why a lot of these kids end up doing just what they are, hanging out in the street with all these kids. That in effect becomes their family.
Yeah,
Because they don't have anywhere they belong. That's
Well,
the sad. That's
the
the sad
parents
part.
aren't home or
Well, not
aren't
they aren't. You know, 80% of the families are single parent homes. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, that's exactly that. That's the cultural breakdown, and unfortunately, that's the stuff that's being cultivated. When you start talking about the fact that you're going to obscure the line with who can get pregnant and who can't, and we're going to have, you know, the traditional family is the thing that's being destroyed. All that does is trickle down to all of that stuff.
Well,
We're going to have more of this.
and that's why they attack any kind
That's
of
why they
Christian
do.
value.
Correct.
Because that's where the family unit is strongest.
Correct. Absolutely. That's why you got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's why the church is always the first target. Yeah, as it is in you know, just like as what's been happening in the Ukraine.
Oh yeah.
I tell you, when he jailed the head of the you know, the Orthodox Church. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Zelensky jailed
why?
him.
Because he criticized him.
Well, yeah, and because I mean, at the end of the day, you know,
He's not the supreme authority.
That's the most. I
If you're
mean, that
competing
country.
with your what people look at spiritually for guidance.
I mean, we have folks that we know that are Ukrainian, and I don't know if I could have the conversation with them that is based around the fact of, all right, that's where you come from. You live here, and I know you have family members over there. That country is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. It has been for a very long time, and although your family members are over there and they live there, does that mean that this country should exhaust itself? And it is. We're going to send several hundred more billion over of weapons. Okay, we should exhaust ourselves arming them, when in fact a lot of that money is finding its way into Zelensky and his henchmen's pockets as well. They're lining their own nests. They don't. At the end of the day, you know,
if they can disappear off into
They
the
will.
sunset
they will.
with their money, that's what they'll
They
do.
will.
When they think
And they'll be
all is
able to,
lost.
when this is over, that's what's gonna happen. And there's no way,
Well,
unless it becomes World War III, there's no way Ukraine beats.
it's whenever the piggy bank dries out.
Well, that's what always,
That's what always does it.
That's what always does it.
Yeah. Oh, all of a sudden they're seeing through all this and they're not gonna give us any more money. Oh, okay. We're out of here then.
You know, I mean, that's when they make new friends. They
Yeah.
go find new friends who are willing to give them,
Well, they may have some problems there.
I don't know. It's just, I tire of it all. I tire of it all. We're gonna take a short break. And well, I guess we're going to do a little bit on the book report, it appears. Well, we'll see. That means maybe our technical issues have been overcome. That would be good. And we're going to also deal with the following question. And that's for ice cream soda. And it says, I know someone who's pregnant for the first time. Any advice for her as she goes through this new experience? Oh, that's right up your alley.
Yeah.
So we'll be back in between 5 and 10 minutes, and we will deal with those pressing questions. Thank you. Hey everybody, welcome back. And by popular demand, this is going to be a much better segment because it's going to be Soda who's going to be doing the talking, not me, which is probably if I could hear applause, I could probably hear applause right now. And there's a couple of questions as we had mentioned before the break. The first portion is going to be she's going to be giving some advice to someone who's pregnant for the first time and any advice that she could offer for that person. And then that lady, I'm not going to say person, I sound like I'm trying to accommodate all this stuff. And then, of course, we're going to do a short book report on a book that Ice Cream Soda's read. So that said, Soda, it's all yours.
Well, the first time I get the first topic is these first time pregnant mothers, some young, some older, and what would be some advice that I would give, and I guess the first thing you want to find is a doctor that you like. Um, and that sometimes is best found out by other people who have been through a pregnancy and have used that person and highly recommend them or their office. And I guess now you don't necessarily always see the same doctor because there's usually multiple ones in one practice.
Mm.
But, you know, there's so much information on the internet that I never am sure is the best way to go, um, especially with a medical problem, because not everything applies or works for the same person. So, your biggest thing is a doctor, and then, maybe a support group of other new women, which I'm sure you can probably find on the internet today, all through their first one, just to see if anybody's experiencing similar things that you are. I know some people are violently ill. Some people have morning sickness. Some people don't. Some people breathe through pregnancies. Some people don't. It's different for everyone. Um, I've had uh, daughters who have had uh, a couple who had the more than just morning sickness. They were sick like almost every day for the first. I think you get through the first few weeks before it starts, but then up until almost 3 months, and sometimes even beyond that, are throwing up all the time. They've had healthy children. It's not impacted. The child gets what they need. The adult is the mother is the one that is making sacrifices. So anyway, just enjoy it. I mean, don't be in a book every day trying to figure out what's happening that particular day or that particular week. Do it if you have to do it month by month and just understand what stage the baby's at, in the first month and in the second month and the third month, and educate yourself as much as you can about what's going on, and prepare yourself for what comes after the delivery as well. But it's a blessing from God to have children, and it's so rewarding, so enjoyable. Yeah, it has its ups and downs, but it's in the end, it's all worthwhile. It's just changes your life. It makes you grow personally, and it's just special. It's a, a gift to females that males do not get.
You mentioned the other day our youngest daughter when we were talking with some neighbors, and they're talking about asking how she was doing, and And that was the one that we would probably, if you'd asked us, never would have thought, nah, this person doesn't have the mom bent,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah. If she even had one child, we would have been surprised. And now she's got two and is extremely devoted mother.
it changed. It was
It
to your
just-
point. It changes them,
It just totally changed.
and for the best.
Yes.
For the best.
Yeah. I mean, some people, children, isn't it? Children's not necessarily a good thing for them, but most people, it's a real blessing.
I don't know if it could. I mean, because you contrast that with her background. I mean, I guess we could say that because we're still not doing names. I mean, you wouldn't know. I mean, the military background.
There's lots of women.
Well, I mean, yeah, she had gone to college, and then she enlisted in she went to OCS and became an officer in the Marine Corps, and in fact did a deployment to Afghanistan. And so this is someone that you thought tough person, pretty focused, and you never equate. We never, as we said, we never thought, well, when we talk by ourselves, I don't know if she'll let me have it, but that's okay. But here she is, and and she's wonderful at it. It's just great. Anyway, so yeah, you see firsthand the changes that it can for the better.
Yeah.
With all of them. With all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Maternal instincts kick in.
Sure do. Sure do. Hey, you're still on. You're now you can continue there. You do your book thing.
Oh, this is a tough one. You don't have any feedback. All right. Well, anyway.
I was trying to give you some.
Yeah. The information that's out now, though, is so extensive compared to the little bit of information we used to have. So
That's
I
true.
don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
That's true because everybody always thinks that they can self-diagnose everything.
I'll look this up. And how many times do we sit around a table because some medical report came back on? I don't think I really had anything. One thing where he talked about ending the pregnancy, but that wasn't going to happen because God was the only one that would end it. Anyway, but yeah, some report came back and we'd all start crying and think, oh my goodness, this child's gonna have lifelong problem,
and they were wrong,
and it was wrong. The report was wrong. So there's no way to, you got to trust God through the whole.
Well, just don't put too much credence in everything that you hear. Yeah, everything that you hear. Anyway. So now you can. Do you want to go on to your book? Your book report, or
I'm not even sure. Like this wasn't. This goes pretty far back. This book, and I guess this is because there's some sort of a little bit of a resurgence of some of these, guru experience, mystical.
The Far Eastern.
Yeah.
Meditation.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah.
So this was a book that came out in, I guess, the very early 2000, and Oprah was still on TV at the time. Of course,
What's the name of it?
Eat, Pray, Love is the title, by Melissa Gilbert, and this got on her book club. So of course it became the book everybody had to read if you watched her, and then they made a movie out of it.
So you didn't read this because it was on Oprah's list?
Oh, no. No. In fact, I thought if I did read it, it didn't hit me the right way.
Well, if you don't like something, you just don't put it.
Yeah, I have trouble finishing it. Although I usually start if I spend enough time in a book, I have to finish it just to know the ending. But she dealt with some huge emotional problems, needed counseling,
What's the premise of the book?
finding God,
Okay.
having your own personal experience with God. However, she doesn't talk about the Bible. She doesn't quote scripture. She doesn't talk about Jesus Christ. She talks about learning how to meditate. Um, she's finding a way basically to deal with problems where she doesn't have to take an antidepressant and maybe can get away from having counseling. So she's looking for her own way of fulfilling her own needs.
By herself.
Well, no, she goes to first she goes to Italy. She basically had three places she wanted to go: Italy, Indonesia, and India. Sorry, so it was Italy, India, then Indonesia because she went to Bali. So the first part of the book deals with her love affair with food, which translate also into family in Italy. And because Italians are very family centered, and food is what centers a lot of
Right.
their gatherings and togetherness. And so she's divided also this trip into 4 months in one place, 4 months in another, 4 months in the other. And each one is to experience different aspects of trying to find yourself, what makes you happy, what you can love or not love.
Yeah.
Um, so then she goes to India and spends time in this place up in the mountains where there's this guru that she had been exposed to in New York before she left. She'd gone to a few centers where she was learning meditation. But this combined a yogi um, with meditation. And an interesting thing that I didn't realize, like I have done yoga on and off a lot more for stretching, and the reason that they did do a lot of yoga with the meditation is so that you have stretched out the muscles in your body so that you can hold the poses for hours at a time. Because once you certain different types of forms of meditation, you're not supposed to move once you start. Like you're not supposed to move any part of your body, even. Never mind. So if you get into physical pain, you have to work your mind control thing over the pain you're feeling in your body because you're not moving until they tell you, oh, this session is over.
Okay.
But most people, I mean, a lot of people would go to these things, but then you go back to your regular world, and who has hours upon hours to spend meditating and trying to empty your mind? And of course, uh, when you empty your mind, you have to be worried about what decides it's going to enter your mind. And I think sometimes that's where Satan can really do a number on people. But anyway, um, you can't you can't get to God the way through meditation's not making you have an experience with God, and she implies that this does. Um, but I really struggle with that because there's no basis that there hasn't been any time spent with God. You're not spending time with God or in God's word. You're in your own head.
Right.
So that's difficult to wrap my head around.
So God is limited to how God is however small you are.
Well, there's belief that
Foolishness.
God is in you as he created you. Not, I mean, God created you, and yes, he, you're his creation,
Correct.
but we're not,
We are not godlike. We do not have God's characteristics.
no, we do not. And to imply, see, and that's so also for me, the Holy Spirit was completely removed because now you're saying it's God. Well, what happened to the Holy Spirit? What happened to Christ?
Well, there's
There's Trinity.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's just, we've talked about this before, it's just this big amorphous God, this big lovable daddy, this entity, but there's nothing there. I mean, it's just, they talk about it in just general and vague terms.
Yeah.
No identity, not a person.
You're not talking about growth from your trials.
No. Yeah. And that was something that was mentioned last time, one of the on the chat, and it's true. The purpose of trials. I mean, God has very specific purposes. This doesn't recognize any of that, obviously.
No.
You know.
No. Well, and then she did. Then there's this medicine man that she met, and he was basically the one sort of that got this whole idea going in her head. So the last place she wants to end up is with the man that started her on this whole journey. And
Where was this in Bali?
this is Valley where she ends her her um her trip. And of course, in the time that she's there, she meets someone that she then truly, I don't know. She had two love affairs, one marriage she broke up herself. She decided she wanted the divorce, she wanted out, she didn't want any part of this life that had been.
This is before she went on her trip.
Yes.
Okay.
And so of course that was part of what disrupted her whole world and made
That's
her.
part of why she went on the trip.
Right, she had to find a way to deal with her guilt. Is basically to me a lot of what was going on, and then before she's even gotten the divorce, she gets into another relationship with someone whom she thinks is basically sort of a soulmate. That they eventually get into this sort of needy relationship that just doesn't work. They're the dependence on each other for happiness is just not working. She had a lot of demons she had to get rid of. She had a lot of guilt, and she had a lot of forgiveness that she needed, not only for the people.
She needed to give and receive.
Yes, she needed to learn to give and receive forgiveness, and so she's pretty messed up. Anyway, when she gets to Bali, and now she's found love again, love with another human being.
Yeah.
As opposed to food, spiritual.
Right. Okay.
And so then I supposedly has written another book after with this.
Listen, I mean, so where does this book end? What does it end with?
Well,
what's the conclusion?
Well, her conclusion is she's found her happy place.
Happy place
in life.
Or with this other person?
Well, because she talks about not judging other people and what they believe, and that everybody's got a thread to God, and if you bring all those threads together, it forms this incredibly strong bond. And if the world would do that, we wouldn't have any of the issues we have today.
Foolishness.
So at any rate, yeah.
Gotcha.
But then, these two, now he's been married before, she's been married before, and then they both have had failed relationships along the way. So their result is that they won't get married. That will solve the problems of marriage, is just don't get married. Except,
Doctor, it hurts when I do that. Then don't do that.
yeah, so. But then I guess there's some issues because they're always going in and out of different countries, and he can't get into the United States unless he becomes her spouse. And then I guess she's going to have a struggle with that because they've decided they weren't going to get married. But now legally, for them to see each other, they may have to compromise.
I have to say, it sounds like for all the work and
So
all the
she's
work,
gonna-
she hasn't made much
I
progress.
don't know. So she wrote another book after, and so now I'm thinking I might have to read that. I just want to see where she
Now
gets to.
it's not about the single person's problem. Now it's about couple problems.
But the other thing that comes across too, when she's in Bali and she
Yeah.
meets this guy, of course, her whole routine gets a little bit off, and then now all of a sudden she's not meditating every day.
Okay.
So, so where was the priority?
So without making comment on what it was she was doing, she's even given up the thing that she was doing that made her feel better.
Yeah, where she found her happy place.
Okay, it's like most people in life, you find something that you.
But
it
you go back
works,
to your normal life, and then you have all
Well,
these other challenges.
Well,
It's the same with people who go into drug rehab or
if you
alcohol.
yeah.
Your hardest battle is going to be when you come out.
Well, and then you
have
go back to the same
in the
patterns.
real world,
Right.
and
And
not this isolated
If you don't change,
utopia
if you don't change your behavior patterns, you're
or
going to end up in the same
paradise that you
spot.
think you found.
Yeah.
Yes, that where you love everything, including a tree or a bird or the top of a building or whatever, which is where she got to.
Okay.
But now you've got to go back to.
All right.
real
So now we
real
know this.
environment.
All right. We know this lady's thing. So as we go ahead, you'll come up with something that you would say would be better off. That people would be better off reading.
Their Bible.
Well, I mean, I know that.
Obviously,
Maybe-
that's clear.
Maybe even for sure, but maybe even a book that might kind of lead some folks in the right direction on how the scripture helps you.
Here, yes.
Is there specific books that I mean? There's a lot of great we read. There's a lot of great women in the
They're
in the Bible
very strong. women.
that would be
Those
could be
examples are-
really encouraging.
That is very true. Yeah,
So that well, so then
but that's where we're getting.
you can bring some of that.
I
yes.
mean, I can honestly say now, as much as there was a stage in my life where, even as a Christian, I was like, oh, you've got to stay in touch with what people are reading and what they're talking about, so you can converse with them and you can, point the holes at what they think. Whatever.
Yeah.
I
right.
just thought, to stay relevant with the people that I know, even though they are not Christians, and I'm trying to have some kind of a witness. I got to start reading what they're reading and understanding. Well, I don't feel that way anymore.
That's exactly the wrong direction to go in.
Exactly, and I feel like now when I read a secular book,
Yep.
I'm wasting my time.
Yeah,
I want a Christian author. I want a Christian book. I want my Bible. I feel like I don't want to. I don't care what.
Well, you know where the good principles come from.
Right.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so
That's great.
I want instruction. I want teaching.
Right.
And
Well, I mean, we all go through this thing of, you got to kind of know the enemy, quote unquote, but you know what?
no, you don't.
I'm not going to expend any of my intellect and energies trying to learn the wrong thing so I can combat it. I will simply stick to the truth, and let the light overpower anything else, because I'm not interested in learning more about untruths.
Right.
Just nothing.
don't
There's
want
no
to
benefit to that.
fill my thoughts.
Nope. Don't want to put it in your head in the first place.
Right. Because then I spend all kinds of time trying to get it out of my
You give them, you give the dark side. You give old Satan a toehold. Absolutely.
Right.
So anyway, so you can come with the your perspective on what a better approach is
I will say
to trying to achieve what
she's
she was doing.
yes, she's written other books, yeah, nothing of which that have gotten as much attention as
Right.
this one that I know of. Um, and she's she's an interesting writer. She's good as far as a writer goes.
There's a lot of yeah.
Because I thought she put a lot of research and detail and tried to explain a lot of like even the culture when she was involved in the
Right.
culture, and so there is a lot of background information that some of it's very interesting, but it's not scriptural to me.
Right.
So.
Well, and as a life guide, it doesn't seem like it offers too much.
Right.
Okay.
It's not helping me
Anyway.
in my life.
Well, we'll look forward to your recommendation of how to address this, either by virtue of a book of the Bible and some comments from that. That would be fun. That would be good. Can kind of use a woman as an example, I would think. Anyway, well, I don't know if there's anything else out there, any questions or anything from the chat, but I think we've kind of exhausted our repertoire for the day. Unless you've got something, Soda.
No, I haven't. I've had my Bible study today, so I have not.
Okay.
My morning has been completely wrapped up, and
Well, maybe we can, because we're both reading the respective books that we were. You were reading it on the extraordinary women in the Bible, and I was reading it about
the ordinary.
And maybe that's
there's
some
place
stuff that
we
we
can go.
can pluck. We can pluck some things out of there and talk a little bit about, the apostles as ordinary people, which they were, and some of these exceptional women, which I think is especially interesting because you get people who always automatically, when you say certain buzz phrases like submissive or this or that, where people think that Christians, hold women back, when in fact, using Jesus as an example, you see how he elevates them. And maybe we can talk a little bit about some of those firsts from the Easter theme that we were aware of in terms of who he first appeared to.
Oh,
such and such.
yes.
I think there's some interesting things there for folks.
Right.
That would be fun to talk about.
Right.
So we'll get into some of that next time. I think that would be very worthwhile.
Yeah, those are both good books.
Okay. All right. And that way the bird doesn't fall all on you for one book or all that conversation. Like we can participate together.
To be very honest, I have trouble sitting and reading for long periods of time. As much as I love to read, but I also like to be out in God's world.
All right. She wants to share the reading burden.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I'm not good at
message received.
Focusing every day of trying to read X amount because
Okay.
plus I'm doing my scripture reading anyway. So
Okay. All right.
It's tough to get through a whole book in a week.
All right. Well, I guess that'll be a wrap for today. But be sure to send or ask on the chat if there's any particular questions. Just like the pregnancy question, if there's any other questions or topics that you'd like to have discussed, by all means, let us know. We'd be happy to see if we can't accommodate.
All right. Oh,
thanks.
See you next time.
Yes, look forward to it. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, we got a couple more weeks before we're going
before we go break.
Yeah, okay. All right. Good deal.